What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, it's me, and it's Wednesday, and this is Sin's Chat Corner. Like an idiot, for some strange reason, we had some technical difficulty to where I couldn't even sign into my own show. So my apologies, of course, to Miss O'Brien as well as to Edvin Ortega, who's today's show guest. I know he's been waiting almost 10 minutes, so I don't want to have him waiting any longer. We're going to put him on the air right away and get talking to him. So just give me 2 seconds here. Edvin Ortega.
Yes, hi.
Hello. Hi. I'm like,
hi, how's it going?
Did you call and I left you? I feel so bad. I was just talking to your publicist. That's part of the reason I'm late. I'm like, we were talking off camera, so to speak, because we're in a studio. We were talking about you. So hi.
Oh, well, hi. How's it going?
I'm terribly nervous because I hear good things about you. I interviewed Carrie Lane yesterday. You know who Carrie Lane is.
Yeah, she's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. And I was like, you know what? Creep on Edvin for me and just tell me some stuff so that when I interview him today, I'll be on my A game. So she told me all sorts of things about you. No, I'm kidding.
Boy, I hope
she
it
only
was all
told me
good.
1 or 2 things. No, it absolutely was. It was
Okay.
absolutely wonderful. I'm hoping that within the course and spectrum of this entire interview, we'll kind of cover a little bit of everything, which is what we like to do on my show. We like to talk about every part of Edvin Ortega's life. So I'm picking into you, so to speak.
All right, that sounds good to me.
All right, wonderful. Well, let's start off with the obvious, which is to most people that don't know you, you are obviously of Cuban descent, and you kind of derive from a domain where there's a ban, obviously, on American products and goods and things like that. So I want you to kind of explain to our listening audience what kind of an eye-opening experience it was, meaning once you got settled into the States, once you weren't acclimated or accustomed to having this ban on things. Talk to me a little bit about what an eye-opener that was and how that changed your perspective on things career-wise.
Well, wow. Well, yeah, so obviously where I come from, there is a lot of restrictions on what you can do and, what you can have and such. And so, coming here, it was definitely a big, big eye-opener because, it's kind of saying, oh, wait a minute, I can do all these things or I can have all these things now. So, yeah, absolutely. Coming here, first of all, it was kind of like, the first time you're a kid and you go into a candy store and you're just like, wow, look at all this stuff. So for me, it was definitely all positive. Just being here and being able to say, hey, you know what? You can go to the store and you can buy, a certain kind of food, or you can buy a certain kind of product, or hey, you can go to the movies whenever you want, or you can have the type of career that you never even dreamed about. I mean, growing up in Cuba, walking around with no shoes, basically, down on the street. I never thought I would be on TV or even talking to you on the radio or anything like that. It was just not really something that was anywhere imaginable. I mean, when I went to school, I didn't even know. Like now, people I know, even my wife, they went to school for things like musical theater or performance. I never knew that was even something that was possible, something that even existed. So being here and being able to do those things was just like, wow, this is it's just incredible. I mean, I'm still I tell people all the time, they'll ask me, did you go to school for certain things? And my answer to them is like, well, kind of, sort of, because I didn't even know that you can go to school for acting, or you can go to school to be, in radio, or to be a musical performance person. So it was definitely a big shocker and a big, I was pleasantly surprised, obviously, but it was definitely a big, big eye-opener experience, just saying, hey, you can pretty much do anything you want as long as you work hard and you apply yourself. The opportunities are endless.
Oh, certainly. Definitely. Now, here's a side question to this, because I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please, go ahead.
The one thought I had about this, because, of course, I tried to creep on you, and you're a very personal person to some extent, so I'm, like, trying to get information about you, and I couldn't find it, so I'm like, you know what, I'm going to pinpoint you when you're right on my show, because I can do that. So here was my thought. I'm like, okay, obviously, I know you derived from Cuba. You didn't spend your whole life there. I know that you didn't grow up there for that entire extent. So my question is, do you still have family that's still living in Cuba? And if so, does that present a problem for them in trying to back your ventures, knowing full well, of course, that they're banned and living in a country where that's not acceptable?
Yeah, so I was born there. I left there when I was about 7, and I actually ended up spending, before coming to New York, I ended up spending 2 years in Panama, which is a whole different story that went on. But yeah, no, I do have family there, and it was funny because I was here for a few years, and then family members sort of started coming shortly after that, like every couple of years. Mm-hmm. Like my grandfather came a couple of years after I was here. My dad came a couple of years later, and actually up to about I think it was last year, my brother actually ended up finally coming here. So it definitely, it's like family sort of slowly came, and I still have a lot of family there. It's tough. It's tough to even think about anything with what I'm doing and what they're doing, just because the communication is so bad. Right. It's very hard to communicate to them, like to say, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what I'm doing, and what are you doing? I mean, it's just very hard to communicate. You have to get phone cards and basically go through that whole process, and I think, just calling there is a very expensive process, actually. So you can only speak to them, maybe like for 20 minutes, like, I don't know, once a month or once every couple of months, because you usually end up, the way it works, you usually end up calling like the one person in the neighborhood that has a phone, and sort of you have to call them and set up a phone, a time to chat with your family. So let's say I would call.
Oh my God.
Let's say I would call like in January, and I would say, hey, so and so, listen, can you reach out to my uncle, because we would like to talk to them at some point, maybe next month. Let me know what time works well for you. And so they have to basically give us a few options, of when they can possibly be there. And, they spend that whole Sunday, whenever the date is assigned, basically waiting for you to call, because they don't know what time you're going to call. So basically that whole Sunday, they're in, like, the neighbor's house waiting for you to call. And, of course, the one time you call, they probably rented the bathroom, or they probably rented to the shower, and, they missed the call. So now you got to wait like a whole other week to get in touch with them. So it's just the communication thing is super, super tough. It is like a third world country, so it's super, super tough to communicate with them. And especially, at this point, a lot of the family members are older. So, there's a whole process of getting them to a place where they can actually, if you're going to bring them to a neighbor's house, they may need some assistance to say, hey, you got to stay here. Your family is going to call, so you got to make sure you're here. And, they may not be as aware of what's going on because they're older at this point. Like, I have a couple of aunts that live in Cuba that I was close to, and they're in their 90s now. And thank God they're still going, but they're in their 90s, and it's very hard to get them around, and just in general, it's hard for them to understand that, hey, you have to be here because the call's going to come in, and if you leave, we won't be able to get in touch for like another month. So it's just very hard to communicate. I mean, they kind of understand the stuff that I'm doing, but not so much. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, they kind of get everything in bits and pieces.
Right. I can imagine. I can't fathom it. It's just, you need that family base sometimes. Unfortunately for you, you have a great deal of support here, but still, that's disheartening. It's got to be very challenging for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it helps now that there's a couple more people, like my dad finally came over a couple of years ago, and he was very involved into the whole thing. He kind of knew the type of stuff that I'm doing, and, you know, he was very happy to partake in all that. But, yeah, I mean, everybody else is sort of, like, not really in the loop because it's just hard to talk to them.
I can't even imagine this. See, now I feel very grateful. Yeah. Thank you. Step number one, I feel very grateful that you have the people you do in your life and you can talk to them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta remind myself of that all the time as well. You know, like when I talk to my grandma here all the time, and you know, she's definitely the type of grandma that likes to call every hour on the hour, and it's great. But you know, I just gotta remind myself that you know, if she was somewhere else, you know, I really couldn't speak to her, like, maybe more than once a month or if that.
Right, of course. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to start talking about a little bit of your background before we start leading up towards your acting. In particular, I wanted to explore some of your educational endeavors. This way, I always feel that if you start at the beginning, kind of work your way forward, they'll get a full sense of who you are. For instance, in your particular case, I know that you attended Westchester Community College and Mercy College, studying music business and technology, also with a minor curiosity in criminology, which is ironic considering what you've done acting-wise, which we'll get to. So my question, did you elect these particular majors, minors, et cetera, as an alternative or as an addition to your current career? Because sometimes folks will think, oh, no, I'm never going to make it in music, or they're hindering or pondering, is this going to be a full-time gig, and they have a backup. So was this an alternative or an addition for you?
It was sort of the I would say, not the backup plan, but just something that I kind of felt that I needed to get done. You know, like I said, coming from my background, you know, it was never really an option to think about, hey, you know, you can be an artist or you could be a musician or an actor. It was always just, hey, make sure you have a job. So going into it, I already knew that, you know, in order to make, like, my mom happy and everything like that, I needed to get some kind of a college degree and some sort of hey, you know, he graduated, he can get a job, he's going to be okay. So basically, I got that done first, really just to make them, you know, feel happy that, hey, you know, I'm doing something. Although I always was into music and acting and always was involved with that, I just knew sort of in my head, I think it was probably, you know, sort of pre-planted in there that I needed to go to college and just have something. So I don't know if it was a backup plan per se. I just kind of thought that was the way, really. I just kind of thought, like, that's what you do. And again, you know, if I would have known probably that, hey, you know, I can go to college and, you know, major in something like dance or music, as far as, you know, performing, I probably would have done that. The reason why I decided to go when I decided to go for the music business degree, that was sort of my way of having my cake and eating it too, because I figured, hey, look, it's something with music, but it's a business, it's a Bachelor of Science, so, you know, the parents will be happy. So that was sort of my trade, you know, like, okay, here's a degree that kind of sounds legit, but it's also in music, so it's kind of fun for me, so here's the trade-off. That really was sort of my thinking in that.
Okay, now have you chosen... Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead.
And as far as the you know, the criminology stuff, it's something that always interested me. Like I always actually thought that I would be like an FBI agent or something like that. It's something that I've always liked that. Always been into that, and you know, I actually thought about being a police officer. I have a lot of respect for police officers, and it's just something that I always, you know, thought I might do. Of course, I feel like having a career like that, you know, would take so much focus that obviously I couldn't do any of the other stuff I do because it's such a, you know, commitment. It's such a full-time, 100%, you know, focus-related career that's why I figured, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this. You know, I shouldn't be walking around as an FBI agent, you know, singing or pretending to be, acting or something. That could probably get me in trouble.
I agree with you there. Now, the one interesting, I thought about this today when I was writing this up, and I said to myself, now a lot of the predecessors or individuals that have been in my show prior to you, all of them at some given point in time have either attended multiple or at least one additional acting workshops, classes, and especially in New York City, I know that those run rampant all over the place. So have you done further education, or do you do ongoing education relative to your field just to keep you sharpened?
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of both. When I first started to go in the city and really just kind of full-on focus on acting, I took basically TV on camera classes at a school called Wiesbaden, which has been around for 50 years, and that was a good starting point for me to just kind of see what's going on, just in the world of acting and all that good stuff. And then from there, it's kind of like you hear about all these dedicated professors or teachers that become more like mentors. Recently, in the last couple of years, I worked a lot with a teacher called Jeffrey Seiner and also with Anthony Abeson, who are very much, alumni of all the, great acting teachers of the past 50 years, and very much follow all those formats. So studying under those people really opened up a whole new world of what I like to call the actors teachers, where they're very much about getting in touch with all the emotions and really being a full 100% committed actor versus doing like a workshop or an introductory class. It's just a different type of different environment. What has helped the most, and this is sort of something I do ongoing, is just being involved in an improv class. So much, absolutely. So much of acting now, at least for film, so much of it is sort of like, hey, okay, here's the scene, this is what's happening, and go, and kind of just being able to be in the moment and improv and just kind of creating something out of nothing. It just seems to be the way, especially films go. TV and theater, totally, completely different. A little more structured as far as that goes. But the film stuff, definitely, you kind of just have to be on your toes. And I think having just something that you can check in with on a weekly basis, or, even a bi-weekly or monthly basis, just something that you can drop in and kind of just have some time for your own just to work on your craft, is definitely the ideal situation.
It's interesting that you brought that up. It's so ironic because as I was sitting here listening, I was like, I'm going to queue up the next question, which you kind of answered, in fact, which was I assumed, based upon your personality and some of the feedback I've gotten from other people, that you tend to lean towards the side of being more of an improvisational actor. Would you concur with that, or?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. It's for me, especially, I think it fits well with who I am as a person. And I do feel like no matter what, as far as, going to school and taking acting classes, I do feel that no matter what, the biggest acting school that you can have is actual real life. I think your experiences shape who you are and how you feel. And, I do feel that, there's some people who can fake stuff really well and really, not knowing about something, really put it on and fake it. I'm definitely more of a person that I rely a lot on my experiences, and so I tend to kind of go by what I know and what I've felt in the past. And so I feel like, having experiences and just living and being open to things is probably the biggest acting class that you can have. And I think that's also related to improv. It just fits sort of the person who I am. I'm very much the type of person that I would like to go, in the moment. I'm totally sort of like, hey, here's what we're going to do, and, well, let's try this because this feels right in the moment. So I very much enjoy that, and I bring that to my acting, and I bring that to all the music projects that I do as well, and, I think it's just more fun.
Right. I agree with you 100%, and I'm an admirer of any artisan, for instance, that can just improv at will. I gravitate to people like that. It's one of my favorite things, or favorite components about an artist, I should say. I want to switch again. We're going to talk a little bit about your passion. I'm going to start out this segment by saying this is something you've quoted, actually, you've said, which is, you've got to have a passion that touches you no matter what you are doing to keep going and to keep trying. So I want you to explain where that came from, where that methodology of yours came from, and then I want you to name 3 things for us that personify what your passions are in life.
All right. So that quote off the top of my head is just really being that, you have to be driven. You have to have a passion, because it's very easy to just cruise through life and kind of just, sit back and let things happen to you as opposed to you making things happen. And I think that for certain things, especially in an industry like this, the entertainment industry and things like that, you can't really do that. I think you really have to, be a constant driving force to make things happen, to make change happen in your life and other people's lives as well. I mean, one thing that was very big for me with getting into entertainment and trying to become a person of the public is, I want to influence people. I want to be able to have a good influence and be a role model for people, especially for kids. I think that's something super important to me. And so I don't think you could just sit back and have that happen. I think you have to have a passion, in order to get things done. I mean, look, a perfect example is auditioning for films, TV, all that stuff. It's very, very hard. I mean, you'll go to an audition, you'll go to about, let's say, 100 auditions, and maybe get two of them. That's extremely hard. That's extremely hard to constantly basically be, turned down for stuff that's very negative. And so you have to have a very strong will and a very strong passion to get up the next day and say, hey, you know what? No, let's keep it going. One of these things is gonna take off. One of these projects, it may not be tomorrow, may not be next week, but hey, maybe next month this is the one that's gonna happen. And I don't think you do that without knowing the end game, knowing where you want to go and feeling very strong about it. I think you have to have a picture of what you want for your life and have that sort of ingrained in the back of your mind and just say, hey, this is how I get there. And so if I don't do the things I want to do with a passion, if I don't fully commit and, really, really push for the things I want, I'm never going to get there. And so, I think that's a very powerful picture to have. I think being surrounded by things that you want or people that you love, having the type of life that you want should be something that inspires you. So it should inspire you to overcome obstacles. I mean, look, for me, auditioning sometimes with scripts and things like that can be a little bit challenging. I still get a little bit, overwhelmed or a little bit not confident about, speaking certain words because, I feel like I may have like a slight accent that sometimes I can hide, but sometimes I can't. I think just working through that, it's something that you have to say, hey, I have to put in the work no matter what. I have to be able to get to that next level. And always keeping that picture in your mind of why you are doing the things you're doing is, I think, what pushes you to do that, to work hard and to just keep it going.
Got it. Very good philosophy, by the way. Very passionate filled, I was going to say. And, of course, I have to talk about the obvious passion in your life because we have to, on this show, we are huge on the factors of love and romance and all that stuff. And look at you going off and getting married not so long ago. Big congratulations to you and Jen. That's awesome. Absolutely.
I know. Thank you.
So we want to know.
Thank you so much.
We want to know three things. We want to know how was the wedding. We want to know how you proposed. And then I want to know, tell me how she makes you a better man and a better performer.
All right. Well, that's a lot.
Good question.
Yes, the wedding was great. It was great, mostly because we had a lot of friends and family there, and it was good just to see everybody and having them be happy for us. I think, especially for my family, we really don't have big events like this. And, I think for my family, it was probably like the first wedding like this, because just culture-wise, it just doesn't happen, not only because of limited resources where we come from, but it's just not, it's just not the norm. So being in a big event and being surrounded by family and friends and having everybody meet each other and everything, I think it was great. It was definitely a very, very warm feeling inside,
It
was great.
We're having a moment on radio. He's blushing.
I know. I hope everybody's not blushing too.
Oh, it's sweet. We like to hear about the love thing. It's natural. Hello, how could you be a better actor if you don't have that flaming passion in other parts of your life? It does you no good. As you know, you need passion in all parts of your life. So, obviously.
Well, that's it. That's one thing that I learned a long time ago. I used to be very, very focused on the business and, sort of like the technical aspects of everything. But then, you realize that, like I said before, really what trains you is life. You can't. How can you express, let's say, something like love in an acting film or something or a TV show when you haven't experienced it yourself in reality? So it's things like that. Same thing with loss. It's hard to experience, to really, emote the feeling of loss when you haven't really experienced that. Or, having somebody that you love, imagining not being around is something that, same thing, could trigger those types of emotions that you can only get from real life. But as far as when we proposed, I actually proposed to her at Playland Park in Rye. We used to work. Yeah. We and I'll tell you a funny story about that. But actually, we used to work there as performers. We used to be singer-dancers there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were singer-dancers there. We met doing a show, 60s, sort of tribute 60s song and dance show. And she played very much hard to get throughout the entire season until, finally she gave in. And so we went back there, and basically we went. I remember I think it was after one of the big snowstorms that we had this past year. We went back there, and it was actually, I think after the park closed, we kind of snuck around and just found a spot, and yes, I got down on one knee and proposed, and she said yes. Actually, I think it was more like yes. But
how cute. That's
so
sweet.
Yeah. That was, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it was fun. It was a good moment. We definitely had to do the selfie thing for sure, which was fun. And so we got engaged there, we proposed there, and from there we just went out to have like a quick gluten-free dinner because we're trying the whole gluten-free thing. So
nice.
We went to do that. Yeah, and it was a good time. And we actually, during our wedding, in between going to the church and the reception, we actually snuck away to go to Playland again to take some wedding pictures there.
Oh, cool. That is really neat. Look at you being all
it.
Mr. Romantic. Who would ever thought? Edvin's a romantic. Check it out, right on the show. We're revealing that. You're a romantic. Who doesn't love that? You rock.
Every once in a while, right?
Yes. Hey, trust me,
Yeah,
I've had plenty of guys on this show, and let me tell you, it doesn't always work out this way. So it's like, it's so nice to see a fresh new couple, happy, in love, all that wonderful stuff. So now, since we're talking about you from a personal standpoint, I have a few more questions in reference to that. One of the things that most often people ask me about when I interview somebody from the acting field is, you know, you kind of all get put up on that pedestal, meaning basically, oh, he's an actor, so this is what he does. And then they lose sight of the fact that you're human. You actually have dinner at home. You actually go out to the grocery store. So if we were sitting around with Edvin for a day and kind of hanging with him, tell me some of the things you like to do. Because, again, I tried to creep on your Facebook. I tried to ask people. And you're so damn private, I can't find anything else. So tell me about what do you like to do, Edvin? What does normal Edvin do?
Well, I'm a little boring, I think. I don't know. We like to go to the movies a lot. We definitely, I think the movies are very much, very zen for me. Just kind of sitting back and, watching a movie. I think it's just very relaxing. We kind of like to do, we like to go to the diner. That's our new thing. We've never been people. Yeah, we never been like foodies. I guess people who are like into food like that. But lately we're very much into just going to the diner and having like a brunch or just getting some coffee and just talking for a bit. So we're very much into that. We are workaholics, and I'm very much a workaholic. So I will say that I actually enjoy kind of just being overwhelmed by work. It sounds silly, but it's actually, I very much enjoy that. So that is stuff that I would actually be doing on my free time. We actually won a trip to go to Aruba last year, and it was a lot of fun. So, but while we were there, we were working. We had the windows open and great view, but we also did work like on our next show. A show that we were writing. So working is definitely something that I actually find relaxing sometimes. And then other than that, Other than that, I love music. I love dancing. Anytime that I can find an excuse to, sort of dance around like a maniac is always a good thing.
Right.
But yeah,
exactly.
I guess it's pretty much it. Oh, and my dog. My dog kind of takes up a big chunk, yeah.
I gotcha. Now, I noticed that somebody threw you a very lavish birthday party last year at the, the Leon? I can't even pronounce it. The Leonora, right?
The Leonora, yep.
Yeah, so I'll never go for it. I'm like, dude must be really popular because somebody's throwing him a big old lavish birthday party last year. I'm like, he's the man. Pretty impressive.
It was, you know what? It was actually the perfect birthday. Actually, that was my friend Keith Collins, who I've done a couple films with. He's a New York actor. He kind of set that all up. But, it was fun because I always wanted to do a show on my birthday. I actually wanted to do a performance. And so earlier in the day, we had an event for another of Bridget's, friends and clients that I know for this show called Keeping Up with Cool. So my group that I do this boy band tribute show that I produce. We actually got to perform in that during the day, and then from there we went right into my birthday party, and it was kind of perfect because that's actually what I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to do like a musical performance on my birthday, and then from there basically just have a party. So it worked out great. We were there. It was cool because a couple of cast members from Sex and the City were there at the same place, so it was kind of fun to meet them as well. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was definitely one of the better birthdays I've had. So yeah. Well, thank you to Keith and everybody else.
Yeah, it was funny because I was waiting for my invitation. Like, I go to New York on occasion. I was just there for Soho, which I didn't see you at the film festival, which was sad, unfortunately. But I'm like, nobody ever invites me to some of these lavish parties. I mean, the guy's singing, he's dancing. I'm like, I don't get to see any of this stuff. Everybody hates me. They don't want me attending this stuff. Ouch. I see how I roll. I get it. It's all right.
Oh, no.
All right. Just here's New Year, darling.
No.
It's okay.
Well, now that we've met, met and talked, we definitely need to party at some point.
Oh, just wait. Just wait. We haven't made it through the interview yet, so you'll hear exactly what I have in mind. So just wait, my dear. Just wait.
Okay.
Now, I have another question. In my creeping, as I call it, doing my journalism thing, I came across this little interesting video, and I'm not going to lie to you. All I did was sit and laugh at it. It's a little thing called Fishing with Edvin and Philip. Would that be you, Edvin? Is that the same you?
Fishing with Edvin and Philip? Is that what it said?
I swear to you, it looks just like you. And you know why I'm telling you? Because there might be a creeper that looks just like you. There's this YouTube video that comes up while I research you, and it literally says, Fishing with Edvin and Philip. It's two guys talking Spanish in a boat. They're actually fishing. Guy looks just like you.
Wow, no, I don't think that's me.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Seriously, I'm telling you, when we're off
so.
here, I'll send you the clip. I'm serious. The guy looks just like you, and I swear it's you. That's why I'm still asking him about that. But we might be able to bust somebody if it's not you, because there's an impersonator of you somewhere.
It sounds like something I would totally do.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a great idea. Now I kind of just want to be like, wait, maybe I should be doing that. But I don't know. I feel like I don't like recall that at all. I don't know. That's interesting.
Maybe I did my job so well that I found stuff you forgot about. Like you just forgot about it. Now I'm reminding you again. Remind me when we're off here. I'll send it to you.
Okay, good. And it's funny because I have a friend called Phil. So I'm like,
see?
No, that's weird.
See?
No, I am creeped out.
Wouldn't that be weird if I came across that? Do. Everything probably the moment I'm since that corner. Okay, we're going to switch you off here and get off your personal stuff and make you actually talk about your job. So before we kind of start talking about some of your acting accolades, I thought that we might divert our attention a little bit into different colors, meaning the different phases of you. For instance, I know that you were recruited by Radio Disney to serve as a live event host. So I want you to just kind of tell us a little bit about some of the sorts of different soirees you've gotten to attend and to cover, through this opportunity. And more so, did you do radio or broadcasting prior to this?
Well, so prior to that, I'll start there. Prior to that, I had some interest in the radio and broadcasting field, and I did take some stuff in college regarding that, but I never really pursued it. It's just kind of something that it's an opportunity that presented itself, and obviously I wanted to work with the Walt Disney Company, so it just happened that it worked out. But no, prior to that, I honestly didn't really have much experience in that. But the team was so welcoming and so helpful in getting acquainted to everything, and it was just a good fit.
Right.
But basically, what I used to do is, I did some work in the actual radio station, but mostly we would do live events, and it was a lot of fun because again, I love kids, I love working with kids, and it was really about that. It was about bringing, the Disney experience to you. And it was a great idea, and we got to do a lot of events. I think one of my favorite things that we got to do was the ABC Disney upfronts when they reveal the whole lineup for the new shows and everything they have coming up.
Right.
And doing that was a lot of fun just because I got to meet a lot of the current Disney stars, and a lot of the people that that I would see, some of the actresses and actors that you would see maybe a couple of years ago, and now they're playing moms in a Disney sitcom, and meeting them was just a lot of fun because it's hey, I remember you, and they're kind of there and still kind of doing their thing and just being in a fun sitcom. So that was a lot of fun meeting them. But I mean, I just liked that gig because it was just really about energy. It was all improv, really. I mean, you had obviously you have to abide to the Disney sort of way of doing things. But it was all improv. It was all high energy, kind of just go, interactive, make everybody have a good time, make everybody laugh and sing and dance around, and I really enjoyed that. So it was really just a great fit. We've done some pretty big things. One of my other favorite gigs that we did Central Park in the summer, and I would always host that, and it was great because it's a huge stage with a bunch of kids, hundreds of kids, and just seeing that sight of making that amount of people sort of dance around and kind of just basically, if you say hey, they'll repeat it after you. If you say hey, everybody scream, everybody freeze, they would do all that stuff. It's really just a fun sight.
Wow. Now, are you still doing that, or is that just something that was intermittent?
No, so I am doing that now on my own through my own company. But actually, the Radio Disney here in New York actually closed down a couple of months ago.
Did it?
And they moved all their operations just to California, Burbank, I think. So they're just doing it out of there. A big part of that is just because there's so much digital stuff going on right now that it's just I don't think. I think sometimes it's easier now for a lot of companies to just have one main site, and then everything else is pretty much, through digital, through internet and things like that.
I agree with you as far as that goes. And we'll get to that company of yours because we're obviously covering every aspect of you, but I wanted to do the Radio Disney thing. And thanks for wrecking my kids' day now because the minute they heard the guy does Radio Disney, they're like, we want to go there and meet him. Now they can't do that because apparently you just told me Radio Disney closed. Number 2, he doesn't invite me to a party, and now Radio Disney's shut. Wow. This is going really well.
I know.
Let's keep moving.
I'm like on a record today.
I know, right?
I know.
It's like check mark number 1, check number 2. That's all right, because here's some redeeming things. First of all, I'm a chick. The one thing we notice is cute faces. And we all know that cute faces regularly get recruited for things such as TV commercial work. Edvin, of course, being no exception, because I know currently, it wasn't so long ago you were cast in that Radio Shack spot. So I want you to talk a little bit about how you ended up landing the commercial for Radio Shack, and also have you done things internationally, meaning commercial work, not just in-state, but out-of-state as well, or out-of-country, rather.
Sure. Well, yeah, the Radio Shack spot was definitely a lot of fun. It was one of my first, I think it was in Spanish, I believe, Spanish commercials that I've done. I've actually done, I think at this point, I would say probably over 30 commercials.
Nice.
All sorts of commercials. I've done stuff for Dunkin' Donuts, Radio Shack, Verizon, Pantene Pro V, things like that, random things like that. Right now, actually, currently in the South, I have a commercial playing for Publix, which is a big sort of supermarket chain down in the South. And that's been really good because everybody, since I have a lot of relatives in Miami and Florida, everybody sees it like every day, and they're like, hey, I just saw you on TV today, yeah. So they're very excited about that. So that's been really good. I had a good campaign last year with there was a Verizon campaign that was going on for Fios, where it was like a whole football thing, where like the girl, I think it was like the Gridiron Girl. I was involved in that campaign, and that went really well because we got a lot of TV time, and that basically played nationally for a while, which is great. But internationally, you know what? Everything I do now is union, so I don't think all the stuff I'm doing right now is definitely in state. It's regulated by that. But when I first started out, I was doing pretty much anything that I could get. So I did a lot of non-union work that now it's like some stuff landed all over the place. I have stuff playing all over the country. It's just I just don't know about it as much because it's not as regulated. Like when you do a lot of non-union work or work in the Latin market, it's not as easy to track. So like I'll have like an IKEA commercial playing in, like, you know, Mexico somewhere, but, like, you know, I just know about it, but I've never seen it, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, I understand what you're saying. You know, now the other interesting thing I want to touch on is, because oftentimes when people listen to my show, they're not as acclimated, meaning they're not in the scene of voiceovers or commercials or acting in films, etc. So talk a little bit about what's it like to walk onto the set and actually do a commercial as compared to walking on the set of Orange is the New Black. And I know that there are drastic differences, but just basically in essence, which for you is more challenging and more creative?
Well, you know, I think it really depends on the team that's there, the director, the crew. You know, a good crew can make everything just, you know, seem phenomenal. And, you know, a not-so-good crew makes the day go by a little bit longer. I think the main difference, I mean, you know, obviously, for the most part, commercials take a lot less to shoot, so it's less time on set. It's kind of you just go there. You know, you get your, you know, sort of the layout for the day, what you're doing, your sides, and then you get your wardrobe, and it's pretty much, you know, go. And it's just a lot of takes of the same thing. So I think it's just definitely a less time being on set. It's fun. It's fun because you're basically just being yourself. So you really. I kind of think of it as easier work, you know, because it's kind of really just you being you, and it's just you being fun and being like your best side of yourself, basically. But it's not like you have to, you know, be a character per se, or at least most times. So I think that's very easy and very, you know, less intimidating. Plus, usually when you're doing a commercial, you're usually the main person. You're sort of like, you know, the hero, the sort of the star of the spot, versus doing a TV show or a film where, you know, you might a minor role, and although you're very thankful to be there, you know, it is very intimidating to be there with, let's say, like a known star, or, you know, on a really big set with, you know, twice as many cameras, twice as much of a crew. You know, and everybody's just, you know, looking at you to make sure that you, you know, everybody's doing their part. They want you to make sure you're doing yours. So I do think, you know, TV and film, it's definitely very much intimidating, especially TV. I find that TV shows are very intimidating because they work so fast. You know, you really don't have the time to kind of like live in the moment and sort of you know, get to know the people on set. I mean, unless you're, you know, unless you're a regular on a show, unless you're there every day, it's kind of like, hey, you're just stopping by, and it's kind of like you're just going, you know, just keep it moving, because, you know, they have a schedule they have to maintain, they have to get a certain amount of shots, and, you know, you're sort of not the focus, so you kind of just have to do your part to add to the story, and from there, just, hey, kind of like, I'm here, I did my job, now let me get out of the way so I don't screw anything up, you know? So I think that aspect of it is very, very intimidating. But, of course, you know, it's also very grand. I mean, you're on a TV set, and, you know, you're on a legit hit show, and it's just like, wow, I mean, I'm you know, this is big. I'm in a show that's going to get seen by everyone, and it's a very, very big deal. So I think that aspect of it is also a very, very grand aspect of it. It definitely feels like you've arrived. It feels like, wow, this is, you know, I've made it. And then film is a little bit of both. You know, film is very grand, but it's also, there's a little more of that improv aspect of it. You're usually there for a longer period of time, so you get to bond with everybody else a lot more. I mean, like, you know, the last movie I did, The Jersey Devil, we actually didn't take that long to shoot it, but, I mean, everybody there is like, you know, it's like family to me, just because, you know, we spent, you know, 12, 14 hours a day together every day, and it's just like you create these bonds from these experiences that, you know, it just feels like, hey, we've known each other, we're family, you know, we're best friends. So everything has its own little challenge and its own little reward as well. But I would say everything, of course, is great, and everything is, you're thankful for everything you get because, it's so hard to get these gigs, and once you get them, you're very thankful. Walking up to the set of Orange is the New Black was just like, it's something I never really even pictured that would happen. And once it happens, it's kind of like when you're a kid and you're going to Disneyland. It's the best way for me to describe it. It's really what it is. It's you're kind of a little shy. It's something new. It's kind of like, oh wow, but you're also just overwhelmed and excited just to be there and be a part of it.
Yes, like 5 minutes before I go on air. That happens every single day. Like in the first, that first 5 minutes. Like right before I came to you, I'm like, oh shit, I'm coming on. I'm late. What if I don't have the right question? The dude's gonna totally overshadow me, and I'm like full of excitement, and nerves, and I'm like. And now it's like, oh my God, I could sit and talk to you for 2 hours. We're like over each other now. It's like, oh, it's all comfort, it's all good, it's wonderful. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, this next question is probably going to make your wife want to kick my butt, but this is an observation, and I'm a host, and I do radio. This is my job. So I'm going to tell you one observation that I made while researching you. And I'm not kidding about this. I've been told I'm a very good people person, so we'll see. I thought observation is that transition from one of the ones depending on the dialogue. For instance, I've watched you also different things amongst other performances. I've seen fear, I've seen pride, I've seen passion, I've seen empathy. So it asks this question. It seems to me that you do your deepest and most sincere work in drama, meaning your dramatic roles. When I've watched you do drama, and it's not that you're not a funny guy. We'll get to the whole entertainment side of things, but I'm like, the true heart of you as an actor lies in drama, not so much in comedy, not so much in the other things. Now you can tell me if I'm wrong. Go.
Well, I'll tell you what, actually, I love doing drama. What you're saying, I would love for that to be 100% right because I love drama. That's sort of what I think of when I think about being an actor and acting and all that stuff.
Okay.
I usually tell people and the way I kind of describe myself is I like to play characters that fight back.
Okay.
Dramatic roles of characters who fight back. Because I feel that I come from that. I never thought of myself as a funny guy or anything like that. I've always thought of myself as a guy who's the underdog, who's always trying to do well, who's always trying to do the right thing, and a guy who knows about going through struggle and overcoming struggle. So yeah, drama is absolutely where I feel that that I like to do work in and where I think I fit.
Okay.
But funny enough, most of the films that I've done, I've always get cast as the funny
I know.
guy.
I know. And it makes me laugh because I'm just like, I don't mean to laugh like as if it's a bad thing, but I'm like, I noticed that you're not the standard. Like most of the times a director will find a dramatic sort of actor per se, even if indie film or otherwise. And I've noticed the trend is you kind of get stuck into that mold. With you, you're all across the board, hence the observation I made, which is your eyes have this intensity about you, and they change. It's chameleon-like, if you will. Watch your reel. I'm telling you, you'll be able to see this. Now, this I find rather interesting, and I'm so proud to say this. Now, I've heard other people compare you as being a youthful Ray Liotta. So this is what I got to tell you. He's my fantasy husband in my head. I've married him 17 times already in my head. He doesn't know I exist, but I've interviewed him 4. I'm like, dude, Goodfellas, let's talk. We'll have some pasta. Speak some Italian to me. My question to you is, because oftentimes people get compared to somebody, and obviously that's a huge accreditation to yourself because, he is, oh my God, across the board he is fab, period. My question to you is, do you bear or do you see any resemblance in the way that you act or in your appearance as it relates to him? Because I was just curious on that.
Well, what I think is right is somebody said this to me, actually. They said that they felt that I was very matter of fact and very sincere, and that felt like very Ray Liotta to them.
Okay.
You know, like it wasn't like I wasn't like, I guess the way they described it was I wasn't, you know, I just didn't come off as a person that was like trying to act. It was just very matter of fact, you know. Like if I'm in a, you know, if I am in a scene, right, natural. Like when he's in a scene, let's say like in a bar, he's ordering the check. You know, it's very much about, you know, it's normal. It's like, okay, you know, here come, let me get the check. It's not like, you know, let me act to see how to get a check. You know, it's just like very matter of fact. And somebody said that to me actually at an audition, and it kind of stuck. And it's funny because that's actually what I like and what I like to, you know, bring to the table. So now when people ask me about you know, roles and auditions, that's what I try to bring into it. I try to just keep it, you know, very matter of fact, not putting anything on. You know, I do think that we probably have some similar features. Obviously, you know, I'm you know, a lot younger. So obviously, when he was younger, there's probably a couple of things, you know, there. But it's funny because I get compared to like other actors as far as like looks wise. So right. You know, I don't know. It's kind of like across the board, but I did like the Ray Liotta comparison. Obviously, because same thing. You know, he's a great actor, great guy, sure. And the roles that he plays are roles that I would want to play. You know, very dramatic roles. Yeah, exactly. So correct. So I mean, I mean, absolutely, that's a huge compliment. I do also think that he has something in his eyes that read as very sincere, which I think is something that, you know, I've been told that in the past, which you know, again, thank you, and I'm very appreciative of all that. So I think maybe there's something there. I'm not sure. You know, I try to stay away from. Even it's funny because in the acting business, you're supposed to be talking about yourself a lot, and because that's kind of like your selling point. But it's never comfortable to do that. It's always a little awkward.
You are not lying. Exactly. That's why I invite you to my show, so I can sing about you all day long, and I can say, that guy is awesome, and let's get real. You're probably the only link I've ever had to Ray Liotta, so I'm, like, digging this. I'm like, yeah, I got like a Ray Liotta / drama guy / Radio Disney guy. Yeah, enough of the coffee. Let's move along. We're going to talk about Larger Than Life now. Another bunch of really cool singing, nice-looking dudes. Collaboration, of course, between yourself and John Wagner. Tell everybody who's listening, because it's entertainment-based, obviously. Let everybody know what the array of services you have, because they're entertainment-based. And, of course, I know that you have an event coming up, or you just completed an event. Just clarify that for me, as Larger Than Life that is.
Yes, we have our next concert is actually June 25th. In the city in a club called Drum, DROM. Yeah, that's coming up in about a month, June 25th. In the city.
I didn't get invited. Sorry. Didn't get invited to that either. Sorry, just saying. You
will get an invite, and I'm going to let you know. There will probably be an after party, so get ready.
Score!
That's right.
Is Ray Liotta there? Just kidding. Okay, keep moving.
One can only hope.
June 25th.
One can only hope.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah. So June 25th, we're bringing Larger Than Life, the ultimate boy band tribute to New York City, and this is part of my company, which John is a partner in, and it really just kind of brings me full circle. You know, when I first started in entertainment, I actually started out in a boy band. You know, back in many years ago. We started out doing the boy band thing, and of course, at the time, you know, everybody was trying to get a record deal, and then the music business changed, and it just seemed like all that went out the door. And eventually, I found myself in the acting world. But now it's kind of like going around full circle, because now what this show is a tribute to all the greatest boy bands of all time. So basically, we go pretty much from the 50s up to now. So we do, you know, the Temptations, Jackson 5, Beatles, Beach Boys, New Kids on the Block, Backstreet Boys, everything, all the boy bands. And, you know, it's a lot of fun. It's a great time. we actually it's part of my company as well, which is also called Larger Than Life, and it's actually called Larger Than Life shows. But basically, what we do is we provide themed entertainment. So, for example, like when you would go to Six Flags or Disney or Playland, you would see shows on that stage. That's the kind of entertainment that we put on. We put on theme shows, song and dance shows, magic shows, things that you would see in a park or at a resort. Now, what happened with this show was that we premiered it last year at a park in Long Island called Adventureland, and it kind of just took on a life of its own. You know, it was kind of like we have the 20-minute version, which we do for those kinds of events, but it kind of really just took on a life of its own. I mean, it kind of really was just like, you know, people were just asking for more of it. So we came up with basically a 2-hour version of it, where we do, you know, we just really just do everything, every boy band song. And it makes me happy because, again, it's full circle for me. It's almost like a passion project because it's something that I've always enjoyed. So not only is it a show that, you know, that we wrote and produced, but I'm actually a part of the cast of the show. So I'm actually in the show singing and dancing as well. Yeah, I mean, our plan with that is basically with the company as a whole is we do those events. We also do private events and DJs. I come from DJing and hosting and emceeing, so I wanted to incorporate that as well. So we do host private events. But basically, sort of the big picture of what we're doing is, you know, providing this kind of recurring entertainment for resorts and all the parks, but then also with the boy band show, not only are we setting up a tour, but we would like to have a weekly sort of cabaret situation set up in New York City, where it's kind of like, you know, it's almost like a 90s night type of thing, except we're giving you everything. I mean, there's a lot of acts out there, like there's a Jersey Boys, Four Seasons act. There's all sorts of these acts, but what we do is different because not only is it heavily focused on the boy bands from the 90s, but we do all the boy bands. So not only do we get, you know, do we do the Four Seasons, the Beatles, but we'll do, you know, NSYNC, New Kids on the Block, Boyz II Men. We do it all. So it's really,
Frank Sinatra,
you know,
Dean Martin.
Say it again?
Crooners. Would you do the crooners? I was just having a conversation with someone about this not so long ago, and I'm like, you can't find it on the radio. You know, I love my crooners, and I'm like, you know, outside of Jersey Boys or things like that, you don't see it, or going to Vegas, obviously, to get that. I'm like, that's one of those things that I would really love to see that I think a lot of people would like to see. It would be an entity that not everybody offers. Just throwing it out there. Bridget, if she's listening. Just another idea.
Exactly.
Do we want to talk about MC Vin or no?
MC Vin, sure. We will talk about MC Vin.
I laugh at MC Vin because I'm just like, when I look at you acting and then I turn around and I see MC Vin, I'm like, oh my God, this guy has like 75 personalities because you turn it on and off like a light switch, and I just laugh. It's the cutest thing. So tell everybody about who MC Vin is and where's the creation of that come from.
MC Vin is sort of my alter ego. It's my how do I say this? It's my DJ and MC sort of hype man name. You know, I've always found that people have a hard time saying my name unless they really know me. So I just do Vin, and then I do MC because obviously master of ceremonies. But basically, you know, with the company now, we do offer those services where MC Vin will come out to your event. You know, wedding, Sweet 16, bar mitzvah, or corporate event, and he will host your event. And basically, you know, what we do is make sure that everybody gets up, dances, has a good time. You know, the event hypes everything up, does all the formalities. Because that's sort of a little bit of my background. For many years, I worked with entertainment companies as their MC, that I would go out there. They would send me out, you know, on the weekends to a private event, and my job would be to get everybody on the dance floor, you know, sort of hype everybody up. You know, you see that a lot in, like, bar mitzvahs, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love it. I really do. That's why we still do that. Even with the acting work, it's something that I think I would still actually even do, just because it's fun for me. I'm out there with people just dancing around, having a good time, making them put their hands up and sing around and jump around. So that part is part of the company as well. So we do have those DJ and MC services, and MC Vin is actually my name in the boy band. So when I'm out doing the boy band show, I'm MC Vin because I'm the number one party starter, the hype man. As I like to say, for a long time I was the number one requested MC in Westchester here, where I currently live. So
cool.
I would say that with a lot of pride, So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, that's sort of like my older side. It's definitely sort of like the serious actor, that stuff going on, and then it's like, oh, here, I am a cartoon now, and I'm just like all over the place. So yeah.
I like that. I like diversity though, because diversity creates originality, and I like that. And I think that's a very important component as it relates to any artist, is reinventing yourself and being original. And you tend to do this over and over and over again. So now that brings us to the obvious, which is, of course, talking about your acting career. Obviously, the first time Bridget approached me, she said to me, hey, I got this guy, and he was on this, Netflix series, Orange is the New Black. And I come to find out that your scope of work is immensely much higher than just, obviously, the most recognizable show, because most people recognize Orange is the New Black. So before we get to talking about that a little bit, tell me a little bit how you landed the role for The Following, Kevin Bacon's production. Fox's The Following. Tell me a little bit about the part that you were cast for that. How did you end up getting that? And what was it like working? I mean, obviously we want to know, what's it like working with Kevin Bacon? Hello.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm very lucky that, I do believe in energy and things happening for a reason, and that it is a small world, because, Kevin Bacon, I mean, Footloose, that's like a big movie for me. He was a big icon. Him and John Travolta, who I got to work with as well, were sort of my my go-to people that I idolized, not only because they were actors, but they seemed to be triple threats. They could do a little bit of everything, have a dance movie, singing movie, all this kind of stuff. It's funny how that I got that job, because that's the one job that I never thought I would get.
Really?
Yeah, it was funny, because when I got the call a week before, I actually was talking to my grandmother about how I'm never going to be in that show. Which goes to show you, again, anything is possible. But basically, we were talking about, current shows, because right before that, I had booked a show on a Spanish soap opera, and we were very excited about that. And we were talking about current shows and shows that I could be in, because you always sort of typecast yourself to what you could possibly be in. And I said, yeah, they have this show, The Following, which I really would love. Kevin Bacon's in it, but I'm never going to be in that. The reason being is that so much of that show was geared towards the middle of the country. Like Virginia and all that kind of like mid-country, and my accent was too strong to be somebody from there. So it's like I couldn't really be. The thought at the time was I can't really be in the show, because most of the people sound like they have a complete different accent, and I sound like I very much sound like I could be from Yonkers or from the Bronx. So they're not going to put me in the show. And sure enough, the second season, they're shooting more in New York, and they're shooting at New York City. So it's like, okay, we can have somebody who sounds like they're from New York now. So when I auditioned for it, I thought I had a pretty good audition. The casting director was great. I had a very good, tamed, calm audition. I felt good about it. You never know, because I've had horrible auditions that I usually end up booking, and then usually when I have a good audition, I never get those. So go figure. But, I didn't really think anything much about it. And I'm literally talking to my grandma about how, like, no, I mean, that's one show I couldn't do. And sure enough, the phone rings, and it's my agent, and, hey, you got this role. They want you to shoot in 2 days. And, of course, definitely a big freak out. Especially reading, and for grandma too, of course. Especially reading that my scene was, with Kevin Bacon and everything like that was just, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, working with him was great because he's such a professional. So just working with him was just like, great just to see somebody like that, see how they are when the camera's on, see how they get ready when the camera's off to come on scene. It was just great. It was a very big learning experience.
Definitely. And, of course, the nicest part about him, too, once again, he's another multi-talent where he sits and he goes around and he works. His wife is obviously a celebrity actor. And then they've got the Bacon Brothers, which is in their little musical group. So I'm like, hello, I think we're all kind of cross-creative. That's what I like to call it. All across creative sort of thing. Now, let me just mention some of the different roles that you've done. Obviously, of course, Edvin has an extensive-looking IMDb profile, but just to name a couple different things, like you had mentioned earlier, The Jersey Devil, Meeting Molly, A Gifted Man, Deadly Sins, Lady Peacock, which is an LGBT film. El Capo 3 was another one I wanted to cover. So there's 3 on this list that I want to talk about. First of all, you've been in Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, which is, of course, Denzel Washington, John Travolta. Denzel Washington is somebody I interviewed in my head as well. It's another one that I think I know, but I really have never met him. So my one question in reference to the Taking movie is this. When you look at pursuing acting and saying to yourself, you know what, obviously most actors are the first ones to admit, yes, I want to be in a feature film, I want to be with all the Hollywood headliners and blah, blah, blah. But you may be different or against the grain. So here's my question to you. When it came to going to do Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, and you're being offered a role in this, do you say to yourself, I'd be more comfortable in something like Orange is the New Black, where it's a TV sitcom, it's on the lower side, I don't want to say lower side, how do I want to put this in the right way? Some actors gravitate to working with actors of the same mold because, of course, when you're acting alongside or on a set with Denzel Washington or John Travolta, there's an intimidation level. There's a level of accomplishment that they've achieved. So how did you integrate yourself into that? What kind of a process was that for you? And would you be more comfortable on a set like that again, or do you think you're more comfortable with the Orange is the New Black sort of thing?
Well, the funny part about that project is that was actually my first project. That was, straight out of the gun, I guess, as they say. That was my actual first acting gig. So it was extremely intimidating. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I had never been on set. I didn't know, I was working, everybody, I would kind of just rely on people to tell me, like, what do I do now? Where do I go? Oh, okay, go back to the room. Okay. I had no idea what to do. It was extremely intimidating. So I mostly kept to myself. I will say we had a great director. Rest in peace. He passed away a couple of years ago. Tony Scott.
Right.
Wonderful man. Wonderful guy. Really just a fun person to be around. Really just made everything so much more fun. So I think I think I was lucky to have met him for my first gig. I think I got very lucky and spoiled by that.
Oh, very.
And then actually, because super cool. And then just meeting John Travolta. Was super fun because he was one of the nicest guys that I've ever met, like ever.
Oh, nice.
So
really?
Yeah, no. So that helped. So I think that was huge, but it was intimidating. I think if I was to do it again now, I would feel very much welcomed and very good about it. I think back then it was definitely overwhelming, but it prepared me for everything else that I did, so that when I walked into something like Orange is the New Black, I already had been on a big set, with, like 100-person crew, on a big blockbuster film. So for me, it was like, okay, well, I've done this. I sort of know what's going on. But yeah, I mean, the first time out, I mean, doing a gig like that was just like, crazy. It was just like, I don't even know what to do. I mean, just kind of pushed me to where I need to be.
Well, definitely. It's one of those lifetime, experiences that you look back and you're like, oh, my gosh, you couldn't get a better gig, obviously, for your first gig like you were talking about. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit to the LGBT film. Tell me a little bit about what made you gravitate to taking a role within the course and the spectrum of that. And then second of all, speak a little bit about how you feel that nowadays things such as transgender movies, LGBT movies, are becoming more of a spotlight focus, if you will. People are becoming more comfortable with the idea, with the situation, especially on mainstream media. So talk a little bit about your involvement in that and how you think the progression is changing for societal acceptance for this sort of project.
Well, I think, first of all, the way I got involved with those films was a friend of mine, AJ Medioli. He does all those types of films and is very, very big in that market. So just knowing the kind of work this company does was just very attractive to me, knowing that, hey, this is really a good production and sending a good message. And, when it comes down to it, first of all, you always look at the scripts. If the script is good, you're going to want to do the project, no matter what, no matter what kind of project it is. But I do think especially, they have a lot of good messages in them. I mean, I did Lady Peacock, and then there was a film we also worked on called The Coffee Shop, which again was all LGBT, terms and messages and things like that. And I think it just sends a really good positive message to do those kinds of films because, yeah, it is a market that's growing. It is there is a very specific niche for those types of films, and I think people are really appreciative of you doing something that they really want to know about. People want to know about things like identity and how do you identify yourself and as far as like your sexuality and things like that. So getting involved with that, I think was it was a great idea. And again, it was probably some of the funniest stuff I've done, at least as far as like stuff that I've read. So I thought those were really good projects to do. And yeah, no, I mean, I got to say the LGBT community has been really, really great to me. Very supportive on everything I've done, whether it be the film stuff or the music stuff. So any kind of a project that I can get involved with that, I'm always very much into doing, just because I feel like it's just a good. Sometimes you just work with a production company or a team, and it's always just a good fit or a good vibe. I feel that that's kind of what I have with that production team, and that's why I got involved with so many of the films I did. We actually are just doing now a documentary called Words, and that's from the same production team, and that's all about words and how people identify themselves as far as their sexuality and what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, and things like that, and more general terms as well. But again, it's has a lot of the LGBT undertones, and it's very much that type of production. And working with that team again, it's just like I told AJ, is anytime you're doing a project, I mean I'm here. Anything that I can help with or anything I can get involved with, I mean it's great. It's just when you meet somebody and you have a good vibe and it's just a good connection, you're always going to want to work with them more.
Of course. That makes perfect sense.
That's
actually.
sort of.
And, go ahead.
No, that's sort of what the feeling that comes from that. I mean, and plus, those projects are special to me because prior to that we had done a shorter film called Identity Crisis, which I was really given a chance to really sort of be the lead in that, and it was probably my first lead in a movie. Even though it was a short film at the time, later on they expanded it and made it into a full film. That's something that's always very special to me because, again, it was my first lead in a film. And it's funny because we talked about this earlier, but again, I was sort of cast as like the dumb sort of funny guy, which again I don't get, but hey, whatever will get me cast, right?
That's exactly right. There you go. Now, before we delve into obviously talking about your upcoming projects, because you started talking about words, just going back to Orange is the New Black, which is, of course, the Netflix series, just tell everybody, first of all, what role that you played in there, and then second of all, because, that wasn't exactly the sense I got, and I will not lie to you, I didn't start watching it until obviously I knew you were coming on the show, and I hadn't seen it before, so I've just watched sporadic moments of this. And so I'm wondering, collectively as a cast, did you expect the hype and the publicity and all of the positivity and the large following that you got? Did you know right from the get-go that, hey, you know what, this is going to catch on? Because it just seems like all of a sudden out of nowhere there was this huge Orange is the New Black. You know what I mean? You were just all of a sudden on the map. So I'm curious to get your take on that.
No, and thank you. And it's funny in so many ways because actually my friend Judy, who we went to acting class together, she plays Watson. She plays one of the prisoners in that show.
Right.
I remember her telling us about it, because we had this thing in class where whenever you would land a gig, basically you stand up in front of the class and you tell us about it. Tell us about, what you did and how you got it and what the response was and all this kind of stuff. So she was telling us about it. And at the time, I don't think anybody really knew that show was going to be a big hit. She was saying, hey, so I had to do this and, they told me I had to imagine this was going on and this, and I had a callback. And, it was very much an unknown show. Most of the people on it are really not, people that you would automatically, recognize their name. But I think it's good. It keeps it fresh. It's a lot of fresh faces there, which is great. So she was telling us about it. And, again, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think that's, that's a book, I think, or something. They're making it into a show. Okay, great. So we were all happy for her, but we didn't know the show was going to blow up. And then, so then I finally get a couple calls to audition for the show for the first season. And I had gone in a few times and had some okay auditions, had some pretty good auditions. But again,
sure.
Whenever I have a good audition, I tend not to get it. So I was like, okay. And then the second season comes along, and yes, I play I play Don or Donnie, who's one of the many boyfriends of Miss Rosa. And it was fun to play that role because he's supposed to be Cuban and I'm Cuban, so that was great. But I get the call to audition and for two roles. I got called in for Don and then for, I forgot the name of the other role, but it was the guy who dies, who has a heart attack in the car.
Okay.
So I got called in for that role, and I auditioned for the first for Don, and I thought it went pretty well. And I auditioned for the other role, and I don't know if I did something funny or if I just severely messed up, because the person who I was auditioning for just starts like laughing, like bawling, like just
really
lost it. So I'm like, oh, sure enough, here we go. I'm not getting this. So there you go. So I walked out of there thinking like, oh, well, that's a lost cause. And of course, has the weight of life, walking out of there thinking, I'm not going to get this. Sure enough, I get the call that's like, hey, you got this gig, and of course everybody was happy about that. But yeah, I auditioned for the two roles, and I don't even know what I did, but I must have done something that was really, really like either stupid or really funny, because like I said, the casting director was just like laughing. And
funny.
I mean, they were very cool people. They were very nice people, but I definitely felt like, man, what did I do?
Right. No, I understand what you mean. I get it.
But yeah, no. So we I left and went on set. It was a great experience. I mean, it was really. It's funny you brought up the comparison of being on a film like taking a Pelham and then doing something like Orange, because it was very much.
Right.
It was very similar. Compared to a lot of the TV stuff that I've done. I think because they do Netflix and they have a lot of freedom to do certain things, it was very much shot like a movie. So, and especially the stuff I did, most of the show is done in the prison, which is which is like one location pretty much. But the stuff I did, so much of it was outdoors and so much of it was, action, that I think just the crew and everybody, the whole production team, was just great because they were so happy that they were doing something different, something that felt like they were shooting a movie.
Right.
And I think that the energy just kind of like carried throughout. I mean, the writers were great. The director was great. She was great. The production team. I mean, we all kind of just sat down during lunch and just would talk about that kind of stuff. And you don't get that all the time. You don't get to be that close to the creative team and just talk to them just like normal people. It's always sometimes there's a little bit of that barrier. Even though it's kind of funny because you kind of said it before how you get sort of like this allure because you're the actor or the actor, right? But really when you're on a set, unless you're sort of like the top name, sort of the top bill, like a known celebrity, you're definitely not. You're sort of like the low man on the on the scale.
Correct.
Usually, which is funny. I don't think a lot of people realize that. That an actor. I mean, it's just like you're going to work at a bank. You're. It doesn't mean you're the president. You don't own the bank. You're just really a worker in the bank. It's the same thing with an actor. You're just a worker in that film and that TV show and that project. But no, I mean, that set was really one of the most fun sets I've been on. It was really, really great. A lot of fun. The energy was just, I think they were just excited. I think it was just, there was a lot of excitement. We had a really good cast. And it was fun because everybody I worked with, that whole group of people that were involved with that whole storyline were all people that I had met in the past, through auditions. And I think we kind of had been turned down for the same things. So
I get
so
it.
Yeah. So getting on to do this project and do it all together, I think it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of excitement in the air.
Very cool. Very nice. All right. Well, now the last question I have for you. God, didn't this time go fast? It's like, oh my God, we've been talking almost 90 minutes. Can you believe that? God, either we're both big mouths or
you're fun to talk to. You're fun to talk to. So.
Aw, thank you. Everybody says that when they come on the show. They're like, they have such a nice time. It's so original and unique. And I'm like, that's really cool. The only better part would have happened is if we did this last week, I would have been doing it live because I was just there for Soho. So I'm being told that I need to do more live interview stuff. So scary, creeper. Not sure we're going to do that yet. So before we finish up the last few business things we have, I want you to just let everybody know words you started talking about. Talk to them about, I believe, that 29 Alexander, that independent film, the zombie horror film, is coming up as well. So tell everybody when they can expect to see you in 29 Alexander and in Words. Where are you at in that? Or can you not talk about that? Because I'm not sure. I asked.
Yeah, well, 29 Alexander, right now, I'll be posting up all the updates on it. But right now it's it's going through all these festivals. So basically,
cool.
The way, with the festival, sometimes you can't really put anything out until it's premiered. So right now it's in waiting mode, waiting for it to be sort of premiered in the festivals, and then from there we'll take it to the next level. Words we're currently shooting. Pretty much I'm done with my stuff. I'm done with the scenes, and actually there's a cameo by Larger Than Life, the boy band group. We got them involved in the film too. So there's
cool.
So there's a performance which is really different and be really fun. And then the Jersey Devil, which we just did a couple. The last thing we did is I think with the Richwood Film Festival, we just had it there. We're waiting on distribution for that, basically.
Nice.
Updates on that is going to be coming out very soon. I got to talk to the director, Joe Pepitone. He's a very awesome guy. He'll fill everybody in about it. But yeah, well, basically, you're going to be able to see that very, very soon, and that I'm very excited about.
Yay!
And it's a very fun
part. I'm very
and,
excited.
Yeah, it's a great, really, really great, funny script. Yeah, so I'm excited about it.
Cool. Absolutely cool. Now I'm going to give you an opportunity to just say absolutely nothing. because here's what we're going to do, folks. We have a couple business things here. First of all, before I go through the rundown of all the different ways where everybody can find you, I do not want to forget this because I always make it a point to say this to Bridget O'Brien, because I know she's going to listen to this, and this will probably make her cry. The last time I came to see her, her and I are very good friends, and every time she brings me one of her clients, I get more excited because the level of professionalism and excellence and the character of every single person she brings me is just none other than extraordinary on all levels. And so I always get excited. So today was exciting, and I have 3 of her clients this week, so even more exciting. So to you, from me, Bridget, Edvin, spectacular. He's not as scary as I imagined he was going to be because he looks like he would beat my ass in a heartbeat looking at some of the roles he's done. So thank you, Miss O'Brien, for another wonderful client. And thank you, of course, for trusting me with your clients, which I appreciate that. So I don't want to forget about that, so Bridget's all done. Now, I'm going to read this rundown. Edvin Ortega, and just so you people know, it's spelled O-R-T-E-G-A, and Edvin, yes, that's right, it's different. It's E-D-V-I-N. He has a personal page. You also have an actor/director page, which is, of course, your name as well, but it says actor and director on it. There is also a Facebook page for We Are Larger Than Life. He has a LinkedIn profile. He has a Twitter profile, which is at I am Edvin Ortega. Obviously, of course, for movie's sake, IMDb profile. Some of your work is on YouTube. Instagram is I am Edvin Ortega. Website, edvinortega.com. And then, of course, wearelargerthanlife.com. Any other place that people can find you?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty much, I think you've nailed it. Everything is pretty much
that's
out
my
there.
job to nail it. I'm supposed to.
Yeah, no, that's I got to say, that's very good.
Well, thank you very much. If I didn't do it right, you know what would happen? Bridget would call and say, Cindy. No, she wouldn't, actually. She's wonderful to me. So, 2 more things that we do on this show, and then I will let you go to get to your day, and then I have to get to mine. First of all, this is, you wouldn't know this, but for me personally, this has to be probably the only highlight I'm going to have today. So thank you very much. It's been a wonderful experience. Now, second of all, I'm going to throw this out here, and I know Bridget's going to get upset. I said this yesterday. Carrie Lane and I talked about this, and maybe you and Bridget and I and Carrie shall sit and talk about this together. Carrie, of course, Carrie Lane is a juvenile diabetic patient. My mother is a juvenile diabetic, and so we put our heads together, and I said, you know what if I flew out to New York City? What if I live interviewed all you people? We did a whole bunch of live music, and then I brought all my products with me, and I kicked back a certain percentage, let's say 40, 50%, and give it all back to juvenile diabetes. So I'm just asking Edvin, what do you think? Because you got this little boy band thing going on. And I'm like, well, there's Carrie Lane, there's me, there's you, there's my celebrity friends, your friends. I think we should have a big old party and a big old thing. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. No, that sounds
Or you
that
could turn me
fun
down.
to me.
You can tell me now. I'm like, this is more work for poor Bridget. Like, okay, how are we going to orchestrate this? But it's all about co-networking. I think that's very important for a good cause. Definitely.
No, I think that's a great idea. No, that's something I would definitely be into, and of course the boys of Larger Than Life would be into. So
of course they would.
No,
and of course we can leave MC Vin on the side for that one. No MC Vin, just strictly the Larger Than Life. Because you crack me up with that whole thing, and I just be laughing. It's true. I mean, it's hard to try to do an interview and you're laughing at someone all the time. I'm like, this is my fear. I have a few people coming on my show, and I just laugh at them constantly. And I'm like, how in the hell am I going to interview these people? Because it's supposed to be professional, so you can't really have fun when you're doing an interview. And I'm like, not on my show. We're all about the fun factor. So the last thing we're going to do, and then I'm going to let you go, is I always take the last 60 seconds of my show to shut you up for me to be able to tell you as the guest what I think of you. Are you sitting down?
I think I'm going to sit down right now, actually.
Yeah, some people have cried. Some people have been speechless. Some people have been like, oh, my God. These are my honest-to-God impressions of Edvin Ortega, and I offer these not necessarily so much to hear my own self speak, but moreover to give the listening audience an idea of exactly who you are. So these are my impressions of you. As I had prefaced earlier in our conversation, one of the coolest things that I think about you as an actor is that your eyes reveal a chameleon of sorts. And by that I mean what I mentioned, which is, of course, a sense of passion, a sense of drama, a sense of intensity, a sense of comedy at times, actually just hysteria at some point in time. I could just see this subtle look that you get on your face. You have a range and a diversity actor-wise that you don't always necessarily see in a New York actor. And I've met all kinds of all breeds, independent film and otherwise. One cool part about you, which I always gravitate to, is humility. You're not a diva. You're not above or beyond offering your time and your trouble to your friends, to the people that you work with. Obviously, you have a huge allegiance to your family. Why? Because I creep on your Facebook page. I can see this. You have a love for what you do, a love for who you love. Moreover, you are the type of individual who I can guarantee you I will see on the independent film circuit one day, because you're becoming so big now and you're unaware of the fact that you're growing and you're producing more and more products and films that make you stand out, not because you're Cuban, but because you're Edvin. I think it has nothing to do with your accent or your ethnicity, so to speak. You've defined yourself as a hardworking actor that's willing to do just about any genre in any area to accomplish a set goal, which is to inspire, entertain, and motivate your audience. For me, that's what captivated me. Did I like that you were on Orange is the New Black? Hell yes, I did, but it didn't gravitate to me. What gravitated me to you is the fact that you're a complete cross-creative in the best manner, shape, and form. You use music, you use film, you use entertainment, and you use it all to your advantage. I have to once again repeat to you that I am elated for yourself and your brand new bride. I only wish you the very best of success. If you don't come back on my show, I will come to New York and I will stalk you. If I don't get an invitation to your show, I'm going to stalk you. You understand me? But long story short is, I have to say that I'm very impressed that this very scary-looking young man is very far from scary, but just absolutely classy, creative, and just cool in my book. That's it. That's all I got for you.
Wow. Thank you so much
Are you okay?
for all that. No, I'm so sweet.
It's true.
You know,
I speak
it's so
of the
sweet
truth.
because it's so sweet because you're saying all that, and I just got home and my dog is like licking me at the same time as giving me kisses, so I'm just like filled with love.
You're like getting love from best of the both worlds. Isn't that awesome? Definitely.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, and again. Well, it's true. I mean, I cannot thank you enough, and I always tend to try to give my last impression so that this way, even if people didn't listen to everything, they kind of just get a small sense of who you are, what you're looking to accomplish, and all that good stuff. And certainly, like I said, feel free to keep inviting me. New York is like a second home to me, so the more I can get there, the better. And anytime I can help to support you and your team, I'd be more than happy to do so. So don't be a stranger, please.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much, my dear. And I look forward to meeting you in person. Good luck, like I said, with your brand new wife and all that good stuff. And we'll be in touch. And I'll send you the video of you fishing, or the pseudo you fishing, and we'll see what happens.
Yes, please do.
All right, sweetheart. Get off the show. Go have fun. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thanks. Okay, is it my imagination or was he totally freaking cool? Just to reiterate one more time, his name is Edvin, and that's Edvin Ortega. 3 different ways on Facebook to find him. He has a personal page, he has an actor/director page, and, of course, We Are Larger Than Life page, which is, of course, his entertainment-based company with his partner. He has a LinkedIn profile, Twitter handle again, which is also the same as his Instagram account, which is at I am Edvin Ortega. He has an IMDb profile, a YouTube profile, website edvinortega.com, and, of course, wearelargerthanlife.com. Once again, thank you so much to Bridget. Thank you so much to Edvin for your time. Thank you to Carrie Lane for your contribution. Thank you so much to the listening audience for participating and listening to me babble on and on with my wonderful guest, Edvin, who I'm so proud of. Want to remind everybody that Jenna L., and that's E-L-E, Little Miss up-and-coming fashion designer from New York City and another client of Bridget O'Brien's, will be on the show tomorrow. If memory serves me correctly, and yes, that's right, even the radio show host herself doesn't always have her calendar in front of her. It would appear as though I am on the radio tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Standard Time. Reminder to everybody, after Sparrow Seeds, 2 o'clock Central Standard Time on Friday. I also want to remind everybody that later this afternoon, I'm thinking 5-ish is what I have slated. If any of you are in the Cudahy area, I will be at my store. I'm actually reopening today from 5 to 9 to kind of get things situated and get business underhand. So if you're in the area, feel free to stop by. Thank you so much to the very few people that I spoke to today. Obviously, today is a little more difficult for me, so I appreciate your support. I appreciate calls and text messages. I just appreciate you and your presence. So thanks to all. I look forward to being on the air tomorrow and having another wonderful show. You guys have a great afternoon.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you
By
husband.
wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you
By
husband.
wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.